If you like, go and tell somebody that I beat you. I will kill you. Go and tell somebody I used the pass to beat you. Yes. If you like, threaten your children. You're going to traumatize them and you're going to lose them. If you don't lose them physically as you Japa, you will lose them emotionally, psychologically, in any other way. You will lose those children. What is best for you to do is to get to learn how to manage your children, how to parent them without threatening them. Too many parents will Japa and still not have good strategies, effective strategies for their children to discipline them. Lazy parenting is always, I will beat you, I will beat you, I will beat you. Good disciplinary measures usually require you to think, to plan, and to be patient. And a lot of parents don't want to be patient. They just want to smack, boom, and they just get instant results. That's what they want. You must learn how to know your children, to connect with your children, transfer your values, understand their personality types, their love languages, such that you guys will connect and you will bond emotionally. You will be able to teach them and they will be able to buy into the things that you're telling them. You will give them reason to believe you, not telling them lies or threatening them. So you find that a lot of Nigerians, they're still beating their children when they travel abroad to countries that do not allow them to smack their children. And a lot of them, they are taking their children away from them. And another thing they will now do is they will tell to children, I will send you back to Nigeria. I will send you back to... For every word that you say in that manner, you are traumatizing your children. They will remember it for life. They will live with the trauma. So you might have raised a child, but you might raise a dysfunctional child. So what I want to say to you is to begin to learn good parenting strategies. And to do that, you have to begin to deal with yourself. You have to want to parent your children properly. And you can't do that if you don't parent yourself. Parenting Me, this video that I have in my YouTube channel called Parenting Me. You start with yourself. Emotionally intelligent. Go back down to your background. How were you parenting? Are you projecting? Are you doing the things that your parent did? Are you modeling the right behaviors to your children? Are you angry? Are you frustrated? Were you abused? Are you living in pain and regret? Are you having a challenge with your spouse and you're taking it out on your children? Are you parenting alone? Are you even in a marriage or in a relationship and you still feel alone? Because a lot of women are alone in relationships. The man is either cheating or out there doing his own thing. And this is not everybody, obviously, but a lot of that is happening right now. And you find that women are frustrated and they are taking their anger out on the children. Or are you the man that is at home and your wife has gone out to work? You are the student that got the visa. And there's a lot of frustration happening out there. You have to come together as a family and begin to talk and begin to transfer your values and begin to share and begin to know how you are going to parent your children properly without threatening them, without yelling and shouting and demoralizing them and verbally abusing your children and telling them that, oh, you brought them to this country for a better life and this is how they are paying you back. That's what we call emotional blackmail. You don't want that kind of trauma for your children. Some people are doing it because their parents even also did it to them. So even when they don't want to do it, they are unconsciously doing it to their children because they haven't dealt with those demons. You must be able to deal with the issues that you've had in your past. And if that requires you to get a therapist, to speak to someone who's going to be able to help you along the way, by all means, do it. Don't gamble with your children. Don't sacrifice their mental and their emotional health because you don't know how to parent. You can't be bothered how to parent. You're assuming that parenting is innate. Parenting is not innate. Parenting is to be learned. It's a skill that is to be learned. So make sure that you're doing your best to learn. I have a book called 101 Tips to Curb the Beating and the Shouting. Get in touch with me to get the book, and the book is also on Amazon. You can get the book on Amazon. It will teach you strategies, 101 tips to curb the beating and the shouting, 101 tips to help you along the way. Can you just imagine? 101 tips. So get the book, learn, Be patient and humble enough to learn. We all must learn. Parenting is not innate. Learn how you are going to know the love language of your children, the personality types of your children. Write down their traits. Have a journal. Have a book for every single child that you have. The more children you have, the tougher it is to parent, because you have to have time for each and every child. Everything is not going to be community service where we're all going to church together, we're all doing this together. There will be that child that may not be interested in that way of life. There will be that child that wants that one-to-one time with you alone as the parent. So you must ensure that in whatever that it is that you do, you have time for each child. And it's challenging, especially when you're in a new place or in a new town or in a new country. You're juggling so many things, work, you're shopping, you're doing, and there's no support like you would have probably at home. So you don't have maybe the grandma or the aunties or the domestic help that you can hire. You don't have them easily accessible to you. So you're feeling a lot of pressure, a lot of burden. And again, another tip is to check your health, especially if you're over 35. Make sure you're checking your blood pressure. You're doing a general checkup, checking your cholesterol, checking everything, that everything is functioning, you're exercising. Otherwise, you find that you can just fall down and break down one day. That if it doesn't even lead to death, because I've heard of the 43-year-old lady who sadly died. I think she had 4 or 5 children and she moved to the UK and actually lost her life. The stress. Anything blood pressure is a silent killer. Anything that has to do with the heart can take one out just like that. So don't gamble it. Even shouting at your children, you can shout at them and fall down and die. I'm sure you don't want that. So let's do whatever it is that we can to learn how to parent our children as we go abroad. I know a lot of people have invested in my book and they're buying it to learn so that when they go abroad, they don't get into trouble with the law. Your children don't even have to report you. They can elicit and find out from your children if you're smacking them. I mean, stories of children going to school and maybe the teacher is saying, I'm going to have to speak to your mom and your dad about what you do. Your behavior has not been, it's not been satisfactory. I'm going to have to speak to you. Oh, you did this, I did that. I'm going to have to tell your parents. And they're like, oh, no, don't tell my parents. Don't tell my mom. Don't tell my dad. They're going to beat me. They're going to beat me. And then they're like, beat you? Oh, does your mom hate you? Did it? Before you know happening, social services are at your door. They're at your door. They want to take your children. And then you now say, oh, I'm going to send them to Nigeria. A child that you've been bringing up in the UK, that used to a standard of living already, even if it's 2 or 3 ones, then you say you want to send them to Nigeria. Oftentimes when people do this, they think Nigeria is a parent. Nigeria will correct just by virtue of it being Nigeria. But what you do is you break the child. The child might seem to come out in a way that reformed, for lack of a better word. But the children are not to be reformed. They are not criminals. They're to be molded and nurtured. And they kind of like reform these children by breaking their spirit. So they conform and become what they are not, who they are not, just to satisfy society and to survive. And then you have actually damaged that child emotionally, psychologically. You've disconnected from that child. The child may come back and appear to be behaving in a certain way, but you find that the child may be hooked on drugs, may be suicidal, may be having sex just all over the place. They could be addicted to social media. They could be sexting. A lot. I mean, I saw something about Lekki children being on. That reminds me, being on a lot of drug use in Lekki. There was a Zoom call that I was invited to. I wonder when it is. I really wanted to attend that. But a lot is happening to children out there these days. So as you go out there, just know that you must connect with your children. As they go to schools in the UK, be aware that there are social issues. There's racism happening in many schools that out there. There's drugs, there's vaping, and so many things that have been legalized. Children going out there, getting the pill, having sex, and you don't know what they are doing. Don't be ignorant. Your shouting and beating your children won't help you at this particular time to parent your Gen Z or your Alpha Gen children. You must be ready to do the work. I pray for your success, and I will see you in my next video. Poshe.